In Millennials and Money, apps are luring in millennials and Gen Zers to get into trading, and there are a number of those trading apps on the market, including Doe. For more on this hot trend, we have Ryan Grace, the Chief Market Strategist of Doe, with us now. And how easy is it to trade options or buy shares of GameStop on these apps?
Angie, thanks so much for having me. And yeah, to get right to your question, you look at these apps, you look at our app in particular as well, and access to financial markets has never really been more accessible for users. But I think at the same time, as easy as it might be to buy a share of, in this case, GameStop or options, as you've mentioned, it's also imperative that investors don't lose sight of the risk that is embedded in markets, that's inherent in participating in markets. And I think, that's super crucial for anybody that's doing this for really the first time. And so, while yes, it is easy, I think it's our responsibility that we provide a lot more context around markets and risk than just letting somebody push the button.
We've already seen one tragedy from somebody losing big. Tell us more about the precautions.
Well, I think the first thing that everybody needs to understand is they need to approach the market with realistic expectations, right? You look at just the last year, and this is not even including where we came off of the lows in March, but you look at the NASDAQ and it's up 40% in the last year. That's just not all that realistic to expect. You're going to see that type of performance every single year. The S&P on average is right around a 10% performance each year, but that's not without some of the large drawdowns that take a while to get back from. And so I think it's imperative that people approach markets understanding that there is risk and develop a sense of market awareness. And I think at the same time, one of the simplest ways in my view that you can do that is you limit your position sizes. It's the idea that you diversify your investments. And I think that that's common knowledge for most, but it's very easy on the other side of that to get into too large of a position, not really understand what risk that you have. And so I think those are some of the steps that people can take, and just to really, again, understand that to expect the market to go up 40-50% every year is just not realistic.
Can you tell us more about why this app trading is just so attractive to millennials and Gen Zers?
I think it's so attractive because I think people look back and, maybe didn't necessarily participate. We saw the great financial crisis and we've seen the markets come back. And I think there's a lot of skepticism around that. And people feel like, to some extent, with the great financial crisis, as long ago as it was, people felt like maybe they got burned or they missed the move in some way. And I think now you're just starting to see it become much more prevalent, whether it's in social media, on something like Reddit, or it's just simply that it's much more accessible through a handful of different apps that are out there, and the way that it's presented. I think that is attractive to people. But again, I really think it's important to understand that there is risk in the market and you need to approach things with realistic expectations. That could be part of the reason why people are so interested in this, because it's this idea that, well, I can take whatever money I have and instantly return 40 or 50%. And we have seen that at times here in some names, but I just don't think it's realistic, again, to continue to think that that's going to happen into perpetuity.
Well said. Thank you so much for being on our show.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me. It's nice to speak with you, Angie.
For more Business First AM, check us out on social media. We're on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. And go to businessfirstam.com for where to see our show on TV.